Islam. Brother R.Ford-Bey. We waiting right now to hear from one of the brothers inside the prison. He's in the VDOC. Brother D. Liel. He is the Grand Sheik in one of the Virginia prisons. And at this prison they got about anywhere sometime between really like 950 to 1100 people in there, and they got a pretty large population of Asiatics, and their duty there is to kind of elevate, keep the doors open of the temple, number one, run the temple in accordance with the law, and keep the doors open and spread the knowledge that the prophet brought to uplift fallen humanity. And in the system, it's a great task that must be done. A lot of these dudes, you got all types. You got older guys, older brothers has been in there for a long time, talking about 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years. I mean, you got all types. You got dudes in there serving crazy numbers, like sentences that don't really make no sense, 150 years and things like that. You got brothers with life, double life, and then you got brothers that's been in there, they paid their dues, they waiting to come out, they trying to give back and share with some of the other brothers some knowledge to get them on point. Like, so they do their own job as re-entry with the population, and they do their own job of re-entry, like kind of separate and apart from or in conjunction with what the so-called Department of Corrections does on its own. But the religious houses, they're very important. So in the temple there, I know they, in that temple, we are open to everybody coming in and partaking. So, you could be Christian, you could be Sunni, you could be Nation Guys of Earth, you could be Nation Islam, or you could just be a sojourner, a seeker of the truth, a sympathizer. And you come in there and, we show love, we give information and literature, because it's very important for us to, educate people as to what this movement is about, what nationality is about, spread some of the principles that the prophet was talking about, which is very important. As time goes on, every day you see just how important it is. Those things, they come up, they keep coming up. And so what we do is we take what's going on today and compare that with the message of what the prophet was saying and how to properly prepare ourselves. But it's a great task that's done inside the system, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, they might have been caught up, they might have been hooked on whatever drugs, or had a bad start in life, or just got involved in a bunch of foolishness, whatever, or followed some bad advice that's coming from a multitude of places. So the work that we do in there is very important, because when you look on the news and you look at, man, these dudes done did this and that, they ending up in there. So and it's, the environment in there is kind of crazy, and it's constant, and it's day to day. Like, there's no rest. There's no rest from it. It's not like you're gonna get to a certain age and then it's all good. It's like, nah. I mean, the only thing that's gonna change is your mind and what you get involved with, and what type of steps you're gonna take, and how you interact with the people there. That's the work that's being done. So we don't consider the temple inside the prison as second to anything, because we call that the Dismal Crypts. You know what I'm saying? So what that is if you look up the term Dismal Crypts, it's a gloomy place, basically. And you got people spending a lot of time in the hole. You got people being separated from family, being separated from loved ones, being treated, they might feel they was treated unfairly by the so-called criminal justice system. And it's the job of the Moors to be in there, to learn the law, know the law, teach the law, teach about true religion, true knowledge of God, true knowledge of our people and our prophets, teach about and how we connect to all these things, teach about the fact that we're not Negroes, blacks, and colors, and those were names and labels that was placed upon you by slaveholders, and to put you in a certain state of subjugation, class structure. So at the same time I'm talking, I'm getting this stuff ready for when the brother calls, so we could be right on point. What we're going to do over time is, he's going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on there, but he's preparing himself also to come out and to take his place in the affairs of men. So as he's teaching, he's learning. And as other brothers learn, they teach. They start teaching others. They start talking to their family on the phone. So, a lot of people they kind of look down on the Moors and the prisons. It's like, you shouldn't do that because, number one, the prophet went to prison. You know what I'm saying? The prophet was in jail. They locked him up. You know what I'm saying? All the divine people, they went through this walk. All these strong leaders went through this walk. You know what I'm saying? That's how you end up, fine tuning and catching up with your thoughts and, examining things. You go into the area of reflection. There's a lot of danger, but it's a lot of reflection because there's a lot of danger. But it's the situation that we called upon ourselves sometimes. And, if you disrespect the people in the prison, that means you disrespect Malcolm X. You disrespect Martin Luther King. You disrespecting, Nelson Mandela. You disrespecting Jesus. You disrespecting Paul. You disrespecting Joseph. You disrespecting all them people because you feel that, hey, you ain't supposed to be over there, and it's so that's sometimes where you learn those lessons. You could go according to what the people say on their little pre-sentence report and whatnot, and how they gonna degrade you and talk about you like you ain't nothing. But sometimes that's where the great work is being done, and with the mind. So some people say, well, you ain't supposed to go to prison. Well, Malcolm X went to prison and he was in the street like a lot of other people, but learning ways in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Streets got a way to teach too. So, we don't shun nobody out of the prison in there. We invite them in there. I don't care if they involved in the gangs, anything like that. Like, where are they going to get the knowledge? Where are they going to get the lessons? You turn your back on them just because they in the gangs? Like, they can't, like, they got to learn. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to learn. Everybody got to be able to be given opportunity to learn how we became lost. Learn our history, learn about our divine and vast estate, learn about the creation of the United States and how we have a part in it, not just a part, but a ruling part in that. And once you come into that knowledge, you'll feel different about it. You'll learn to respect it. You'll learn to take care of it. You'll learn to, because you'll know it's of your creation, and that you'll know that people are doing what they do by your leave or by your permission. But if you don't understand that, you're just gonna think that you came here as a slave, and you start out as a slave, and you'll always be a slave, and you have that slave mentality. And that's not what we teach in the temple. We actually teach beyond that, that is not our true history, that was more limited. The prophet says you were given those names that alluded to slavery from 1779 to 1865 during the time of slavery, but everybody else want to tell you was a slave for 400 years. And, not saying that the situation of slavery has gone on for a long time, but, even that term doesn't correlate to Asiatics. It correlates to, the Slavic people. Look it up. So either way, when you liberate yourself from that mindset and you start seeing that, no, you were already here, and, part of the process of denationalization, which is really a crime, like the Supreme Court of the United States will tell you that it's like the worst thing that could be done to a person. It's cruel and unusual punishment. So, and to denationalize a person and call them something other than what they are and take them out of the protection of their treaties or whatever, is a crime, and it's something that has to be reversed. But it can't be reversed until the people themselves are ready to reverse it, because sometimes it's the people that gave those things away. It's not, you can't say that somebody took something as much as you can say, did I leave it there? Like, if I left my wallet over here and somebody picked it up, is it because they robbed me, or is it because I left it sitting there and now they're using all my stuff? So, if you think about it in that way and be like, yeah, well, how did I leave it there? Was I negligent? Was I paying attention? Was I drunk? Like, what happened? How did that happen? So once you start looking at and taking self-account, like the prophet says, he says, you got to study yourself. You got to study your higher self and your lower self and know that you have those two things. And know that you need to do some searching. You know what I'm saying? You need to use the workshop tools of the workshop of the mind. So I'm just watching some of the links that come through right now. Waiting for the brother to call. Let me see. Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing some beautiful things on here, including connecting the brothers inside to other Moorish entities and business owners and government officials and even talking to other nationalities and talking to maybe having some conversations with some embassies and things like that to reconnect. If your whole thought process is merely I only come from Richmond or DC or Alexandria or California, or you only come from these places and that's all you identify with, that means that your mind is circumscribed. You have a finite mind, and a finite mind cannot comprehend things infinite. It can't think outside of that box. So, and when you understand that, then you can kind of see the work that's being played and done. Even right now, when I look on the internet or whatever you want to call it, whatever is being promoted right now, you see that people are pretty much being typecast into a certain level of understanding. They are putting their own mind in a box. They circumscribing themselves. They just be it. It ain't like I'm speaking like I'm holier than thou, because I'm definitely like I'm one of the people. So even though I might say I'm not Negro, black, and colored, I'm Negro, black, and colored. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I have to go and learn the lessons of the temple and then be like, oh, okay, these are all the ways in which I am still Negro, black, and colored. And, these are all the ways in which I am of the lower self. And these are all the ways of which I am on the plane of things made manifest. And that's controlling my thoughts. And I'm eating from the ethers of those planes. But it's all about elevation. It's all about elevation. That's what we're doing. So we're going to wait for the brother to call in real quick, and we're going to jump right back on. Peace.